What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode. Hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and share the video. Hit the join button and become a member. Why? Well, members get exclusive content. Hit the bell icon on my channel so that you'll receive a notification every time that I drop a video, and you can go and check the video out. You see the thumbnail. This guy was humiliated in the Los Angeles County Jail. He was pulverized for the crime that he was in there for, come to find out. In here in the Los Angeles County Jail in 1997. I wasn't even going to tell this story because it's sort of graphic, but I'm going to try to clean it up the best that I can. But I'm going to have to tell you what happened. And it is grisly and horrific. Did the guy have it coming? You decide and let me know in the comments. I'm going to leave the names out of this for many reasons. Nevertheless, enters a dude calling himself Cartoon from Trey Hoover. Now, oftentimes people come into the county jail or other places claiming some of these names. We all know who the cartoons really are from Trey Hoover. We know who the cartoons are. You know, someone come trying to claim a frog or a Trey Soldier or a duck, Bubs, you know, one of these big names. They try to change it to TS or something. But we know who these people are. So we knew from the beginning that this guy was an imposter on the roster, an imposter trying to get himself on the roster. Nevertheless, this happens again frequently, and oftentimes these people are stooges. They are just abused. They are welcomed into a gang or a prison gang or a faction inside of prison or the county jail, only to do that gang's dirty work. They are not respected. No one really accepts them. And in this case, this was a tall, dark-skinned dude, about 33 years old, maybe even 34 or 35, come in talking about his name is Cartoon from Trey Hoover. Now, come to find out, he did know a few people around the neighborhood, but he was not one of the cartoons. Let's make that clear. I am not talking about a real cartoon from Trey Hoover, just an imposter. And when he came in, he went to the cell with the homies. And back in these days, we really just communicated there on the phone inside of the cell and passed information that way. Sometimes we would pass information via the visiting area. But there in the cell, when he came in, all of the homies in the cell knew that he was an imposter. Because again, we know what's what and who's who. But he was accepted only to do the gang's dirty deeds. Be it carry narcotics, bring in narcotics, carry all of the weapons, give us all of your canteen, whatever. That's why you shouldn't go in claiming a gang you're not really from. You're just gonna be abused. You're not ever truly gonna be accepted. You're gonna be treated like a stepchild. Nevertheless, he felt like it was prudent for him to come in claiming the most hated gang on planet Earth. But they knew that he did not belong and he did not exist. They made a phone call to one of the homegirls, an OG homegirl. And she just happened to ask, they just on the phone chilling and talking to her in the cell, the homies. Then they're smoking and, you know, got they prune over, they might be drinking. They popping they shit. They call up the homegirl, what's up? They call and check in on the block pretty much every day. And she just happened to ask, well, who there in the cell with y'all? Who all in there? And one of the homies who was on the phone with her, they told her. Well, such and such, such and such, and cartoons up in here. But he kind of whispered, you know, it ain't the real cartoon. And he turned his back and whispered that. And she's like, well, what do he look like? He like, no, trust me, he ain't a cartoon. She's like, yeah, but it was somebody out here like acting like he was one of them. But we all knew he wasn't. Tall, dark skinned. And the homie like, yeah, this dude right here, tall and dark skinned. And she like described his age, like 33, 34, 35. Yeah. Wow, what's up with him? And she said, get him. That's all she said. And the homie like, for what? Well, like, what's up? And she like, man, look, if this is him, and I'm sure this is him, did he just get locked up? And he had just got locked up. He had just came into the module. So the homie's like, yeah, he just got locked up, you know what I'm saying, a few days ago. She's like, man, that's him, bro. He had dealings with a 16-year-old girl. In fact, the 16-year-old girl was one of the OG homies' stepdaughter. The OG homie was dealing with the little girl's mother. Her mother was the OG homie's girlfriend. And this was her daughter. And he had got locked up for having illegal dealings with this little girl. Essentially SA. And so she's now explaining all this to the homies. So she said, put him on the phone. I know him. Let me hear his voice. And I can tell you if that's him or not. So the homies told him, man, get on the phone, bro, and don't change your voice. Just say something. Just say what's up. You know the homegirl whoopty whoop, like, oh yeah, man. Yeah, she want to say what's up to you. They still ain't alerted him to what's going on. They keeping him in the dark. And they get on the phone, he's like, oh yeah, what's up, whoopty whoop? That's really all she needed to hear. She said, oh yeah, man, just checking on you. Get the phone back to whoopty whoop. And when he got back, the homie got back on the phone, she said, that's him. It's all bad, bro. That's him, 10 billion %. I wouldn't put that on somebody. That's him. That's him. So the homie said, okay, bet. Because they already know that this dude is not a real one, that he's an impostor. So it's all making sense and it's all checking out. But they're going to ask him and confront him with this grisly information. And they did just that after they hung up the phone. And they said, bro, what are you in jail for? And at first, he went around the corner and tried to lie. He was mendacious and said that he was in jail for this, that, and the other. The homies asked for him to produce his paperwork. And when he couldn't do it, the homie said, we're going to give you one chance right now. We know what's going on, but you need to explain yourself. If it's something else that happened, they're just setting him up now by telling him if there's something else that happened with the little girl, you know, you need to let us know, bro. But you denying it makes you look guilty. So finally, after much pressure was placed upon him, he then said that he had dealings with the little girl, 16 years old. He admitted this, but said that it was consensual. Well, a 16-year-old girl cannot consent, even if she wants to, even if she says yes. That is not consent. She cannot consent, period. And this man is in his mid-30s. And he said that he had dealings with her, but essentially that, again, it was consensual and that they had cared about each other, and that for a long time, he had no dealings with her as far as that was concerned. No acts. They were just communicating. And then basically, you know, shit got deeper. His feelings got deeper and hers got deeper, and they took it to another level. The authorities got a hold of this information. Hence, he's now inside of this cell explaining this. And so the homie said, okay, If we fire on him and attack him right now, the police are nigh. And if we attack him, we will not get a chance to really do what we want to do. Everybody be patient and just wait until they do this count at nighttime. And when they do this count and the police pass by, it's going to be hell to pay for this guy. They were outraged and disgusted. And one of them took a shit inside of a milk carton. One of the homies did. This is a fact. And they had it lying in wait. Now, I don't know what this dude was thinking. I don't know if he saw this or peeped this game. He must have smelled something. Something smells irregular. Because it's sitting right here in the carton. You can't close it up. You can't cover up this smell. You gotta flush that shit. But I'm sure he wasn't thinking too much of it. Certainly wasn't thinking what ended up happening. And they had that stuff sitting there marinating, lying in wait. And when the police passed by for their count, they wasted no time. They attacked him immediately. They rushed him and got him on the ground. They tied him up with sheets. And the sheets, you can tie up someone real good. It happens all the time in the Los Angeles County Jail. Countless stories of grown men being tied up and beaten. Tied up with sheets. Stripped naked on some occasions and beaten. Oh yeah, it was a prevalent occurrence there in the Los Angeles County Jail, particularly at this time. So this is just regular program for such a pervert. They tied him up tightly with sheets, his legs and his arms and wrists behind his back. They then pulled down his pants. They did. And nothing but his bare ass cheeks was showing as he lied on his stomach. They then put grease on his cheeks and poured milk all on his cheeks. They then took a shower shoe and began to beat him on his cheeks and on his face with the shower shoe, just slapping him with the shower shoe. They then got that milk carton full of feces and demanded that he eat some of it. They did. It was disgusting. And they put the milk carton, since he was tied behind he was all tied up, and told him, open your mouth. You better open your mouth. And at first he wouldn't open his mouth. And a couple of them, they punched on him. Bam, bam, while he was down there. Told him, open your mouth, boy. He was leaking already. He was leaking. He had blood everywhere. He was already leaking, bro. Stripped naked, pulverized, and humiliated. His manhood compromised forever. And he then opened his mouth finally. And he pulled his head back and stuck some of the feces from the milk carton down his throat. A disgusting scene, a pitiful scene as he lay there moaning, bleeding, with a mouth full of shit. Naked and afraid. Naked and abused as he's been beaten with a shower shoe upon his bare buttocks. Again, this happens not for the arousal of the men that is doing this, but for the humiliation of the man involved. Something that he will never forget, having his trousers pulled down and having his backside filled up with grease and milk and then spanked on his wet backside. The milk had his backside wet. And that hard ass shower shoe, bah, bah, you hear all down the tear. Bah, yeah, bah, ah! And he's screaming. Cause that shit hurt, I'm sure. On that naked skin. And then they slapping him with the wet shower shoe now. on his face. Pow, pow. And they socking him, kicking him, and now done made him eat shit. They were outraged because of the crime that he was accused of. Again, if you come in there for such a crime where you have abused a woman and it is exposed, and it will be, particularly when you abuse an underage child, you're going to suffer the consequences. A relentless attack upon your person. And no one's going to feel sorry for you. You got it coming. Period. It's been like that since the inception of prisons and jails. And hell, the fate that awaits them in jail is just, if you make it to the main line, you slithered your way through the main line, into the main line, trying to be slick, it'll be the biggest mistake of your life. They're going to find out and unalive you. But in this case, they beat him with the shower shoe and their fists. They kicked him, and yes, one of the homies did slice his face more than once with a razor. He was right there leaking and abused, and everyone in the cell wanted more blood. No one let up, and no one had any mercy on him. Again, because the girl was 16, and she happened to be the OG homie's stepdaughter. I'm sure that made it even worse. That made it even more personal. This is the OG homie who they all and we all love and respect. And on top of that, he coming in there claiming Hoover. And you accused of such a sickening crime. Well, this all added to the fuel and added to him being abused and pulverized. And they told him, you stay here and you're gonna clean up, and your ass gonna stay in here until dinner time. At this time, you used to be able to walk the child. And you're gonna get up out the cell. They had no cameras on the tier. You're gonna get up out the cell and walk out and make it seem like somebody else did this to you, boy. Because he was leaking. And he had to go to medical, and fast. And they still kept him in there overnight, abusing him essentially the whole time, bro. They had him tied up under the bunk. Except when the police would come by for count, they'd put him on his bunk and then throw him back under the bunk all night. He was under the bunk with Freeway Freddy. For those who don't know who Freeway Freddy is, Freeway Freddy is a mouse the size sometimes of a damn possum. Big ass mice there in the Los Angeles County Jail. They had these little holes, little small holes like this there in the vent, and somehow these big ass mice would slide through these little holes, big ass mice. I said, God, I'm sitting here watching them, bro. They was in everybody's cell. Back in these days, they called him Freeway Freddy. The mice used to run around up and down this damn tier. And I guess someone had told me that the mice were getting in there because the mice have no bones. So they're able to squeeze through these little small ass. I'm talking about one time, bro, I woke up and a motherfucking big ass mouse looked like a cat was over there staring at me. I swear to God, he was sitting down and his eyes was like glowing because it was dark in there. And he was just staring at me. I just happened to wake up. I said, I thought I was dreaming for a minute. And then I like jumped at him. And he didn't move. I scared the shit out of me. Freeway Freddy. And that's where they had this pseudo phantom-like fake thin paper cartoon buried under the bunk with Freeway Freddy all night, tied up, leaking. Freeway Freddy probably licking the blood off of his face. And then when child time came the next day, they untied his sorry ass. No cameras on the tier, rushed him out the cell amongst the whole tier, a lot of people, a lot of traffic. And he basically went out into the hallway and fell out and passed out in front of the police in order to get some attention. They was gonna see him leaking and fucked up anyway. He was bad. And the police carried his ass out of there. I'm sure they knew what he was in there for. And he never did snitch. The police did come back and hit the cell that he was in. Which means they came and raided the cell looking for weapons or who. They talked to the cellies. What happened to him? Like, we don't know. He came out for dinner. He was fine. Anybody could have did it. You know, everybody was out here for dinner. The whole tier, whole module, basically lining up for dinner. Anybody could have did this. That's why they did it the way they did it and ushered him out at that time. You can't pinpoint or point the finger at anyone if he doesn't snitch. And just because he's a pervert doesn't mean he's a rat. Apparently he wasn't, because he didn't say anything. They hit the cell, they didn't find any weapons, they didn't find anything. And that was that. Often happens in the county jail. Somebody get tied up, beat up, stabbed up. They take somebody out, they take the victim out to medical, and that's the end of it. They don't care. Oftentimes, again, they're the ones beating and abusing someone, the deputies. But in this situation, the Hoovers attacked, pulverized, and humiliated, divested this guy of whatever manhood he had left. I say he had it coming. Made the man eat feces. It's true. He did. He ate it. He swallowed some of it. After being spanked upon his backside, bare naked backside, as he's screaming and hollering, and every time he's screaming and hollering, you can hear the shower shoe going off again. Pow! They slapping him, telling him to shut up. Everybody on the tier here, but everybody know what he's in there for at this time. And all you hear on the tier, if anything, is people saying, man, get his ass, man. Somebody else saying, man, unalive him, unalive his ass, bro. Fuck him. People saying this on the tier, bro. So nobody's having any mercy on him. This is really egging them on. Yeah, man, some of y'all know about this story. I ain't gonna name no names, but the shit was crazy, man. And, I hesitated to tell the story, as I said, because it was graphic, with him eating the feces and all that. But I didn't hesitate to tell it because I felt like he didn't have it coming. Essentially, he deserved every damn thing that he got. That's the end of that. Be careful. If she looks young, fellas, this is for the fellas. Check her ID. I'm dead serious. Get actual proof that you shouldn't be messing with anyone that you even have to question their age anyway. Seriously. But if you do, you better have damn proof. Because if you come up in there, and you will, with this Me Too movement and all, you come up in there talking about you didn't know any better, or it was consensual, or she told you she was 19 and 20, guess what? That's your ass! Nobody wants to hear that shit! Stay free, people!